Welcome back to the Kearsarge Chronicle. We're really excited today to bring you a man who has many stories and many voices, storyteller Simon Brooks. Simon, thanks for joining us. Simon, tell us, how did you get started as a storyteller?
I've always told stories growing up as a child. My family had a lot of entertaining going on, and so I heard a lot of jokes and a lot of stories being told, and our family would tell family stories. Basically, I was a bit of a court jester at school, I guess, and I would start telling some of the jokes that I heard at these dinner parties, and as I got older, the jokes got longer. They got a little bit more rude, shall we say, and I just really liked telling stories. I always wrote stories. I never had them published, but I would tell my stories to family members, cousins and whatnot, and nephews and nieces and younger ones, of course. And then I ended up with a job working at the Youth Hostel Association in Burley in the New Forest in England. And we would have school groups that would come and stay, and families, and so I would tell them, read them my stories, and then they became telling the stories. And then I saw a professional storyteller, and I thought, wow, that's cool, I'm going to do that. And that's basically how I got into it.
And Simon, how long have you been storytelling?
I started back in 1990, I guess, when at the youth hostels, and then when I came over to the States, I stopped telling stories in a public setting until about 2003. I got a job at a library as a children's librarian up in Thetford, Vermont, working with Peter Blodgett, and I started telling stories there. And the mommy circuit told other librarians, and they phoned me up to hire me, and I considered that I might be actually quite good at doing this. And as more and more libraries phoned up, I thought, well, I guess I must be. And I looked at how much people were charging professionally, and I was like, what? You charge this much? And so I began to seriously work at my storytelling and make it a real career move, which is what I've done.
That's great. Well, we are excited to hear your first story this week, The Viper. Tell us all about it.
My wife and I have 2 children, a son who's 10 and a daughter who's 5. We don't often get out to eat alone, my wife and I, but once in a while we do. And it was one of these times that this story happened. We found a great babysitter. You see, my wife and I, we like to spend time together with our children. I know, not all parents are like that. But anyway, we found a sitter and we went out together, my wife and I, on a date. We left the sitter our phone number, my cell phone number, my wife's cell phone number, the restaurant phone number, and off we went. Well, when we got back, this is what she told us. About half an hour after we'd left, maybe 40 minutes, there was a ring on the telephone. And she went over and she picked up the phone.
Hello, this is the Viper. I will be there in 1 hour.
Oh, I think you've got the wrong... Click. She was cut off. Must be a wrong number, she said, and hung the phone up. And she went on playing with our children, doing art and craft projects, we discovered. Well, about half an hour later, the phone rang again. She thought it might be us checking in, and she picked up the phone and said, hello, but before she could say anything else...
Hello, this is the Viper. I will be there in 30 minutes. Click.
I hope it's a wrong number, she thought. She went back to playing with the children. And then the phone rang again. She picked it up and she heard the same voice.
This is the Viper. I will be there in 15 minutes.
But I think you've got the click. She started to get anxious. 15 minutes. Children, she said, let's go and get our baths done and sorted out and get you in your jammies and then we can go to bed. And that's what happened. 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. She picked it up.
This is the Viper. I will be there in 5 minutes.
But I think you've got the click. She hung up. She called my wife on her cell phone. But of course, we live in New Hampshire. We were out of range. We didn't know. She tried my cell phone number. It was the same thing. She decided to read the kids a story to calm her nerves a little. It must be the wrong number. They'll go to a different house. It'll be fine, she said. And so she read the children a little story, and then she heard the front doorbell go. Children, wait here, stay in your beds. Don't get up for anything, okay? I'll be right back. And she went downstairs. She put the chain on the door and opened it just a tiny little bit. And when she looked out and looked down, there was a strange man. His hair was either soaking wet or it was greasy. His eyes kind of bulged out. And one was pointing this way and the other was pointing the other way. And he looked up at the babysitter and he said, "I am the viper. Which windows would you like me to start viping? The upstairs windows or the downstairs windows?" You see, we'd forgotten to tell her that the window cleaner was coming. And he held his squeegee up and smiled. Eee. Next time we go out for a meal, my wife and I, we shan't forget to tell the sitter if there's anybody else that's coming over to the house that she might not be expecting.
Thanks, Simon. After these messages, I'll sit down with Jay Gamble, General Manager here at Mount Sunapee Resort, to talk about some of the improvements here at the mountain. Stay with us.